regular Steelcase Karman was a phenomenal chair. However, Steelcase has outdone themselves again with the Steelcase Karman High Back. Let's get honest. There is no chair on earth that bends and flexes as much as the Steelcase Karman chair does. However, on the High Back, this chair flexes even more than the regular back. The High Back feels like it is literally part of your body. I mean, just look at the way this thing bends and moves with you. It's absolutely absurd. It also looks incredible. I mean, this thing will level up anybody's workspace. As always, I'll break down the chair starting from the bottom, working our way up. I'll give my thoughts as we move along. And if you want to pick up anything you see in this video, please consider using the links in the description or in the YouTube shop. It really helps this channel so much, and I really, really appreciate your support. Build quality. I want to start with the build quality because inevitably, this chair is going to get compared with the Herman Miller Aeron. And a lot of people have said that, hey, I really like the build quality on the Herman Miller Aeron over the Steelcase Karman. And I can understand that. I think when you sit on this chair, the first things you come into contact with is going to be the plastic on the frame, the arms, and the mesh. Now, when it comes to the arms, I agree. I think a lot of people said the armrests on the Aeron feel more premium. It's got a lot more give, a lot more squish, and the controls and the adjustments on it definitely feel more premium. I get that. I agree with all those sentiments. When it comes to the mesh, I personally think the mesh on the Karman feels a lot softer and smoother. People said the mesh, the sitting experience in the mesh in the Aeron feels better. And again, something that I can agree with. And I think what goes to show that the mesh is superior is that on the Karman, Steelcase does use padding underneath the seat to make it a little bit more cushy for your bottom. However, when it comes to the plastic on the seat frame and the backrest frame of the Karman, a lot of people said, hey, I love the Aeron plastic. It feels superior. It feels really high quality. The thing is, I don't think the Karman can use the same kinds of plastic if it wants to be able to flex and bend like the Karman does. I mean, the two chairs are night and day when it comes to flexibility. Also, I do agree that the lumbar support on the Karman is subpar compared to the highest tier Aeron. All that being said, the Karman is a much less expensive chair compared to the Aeron, and I personally much prefer the flexibility, the flexiness, the bendiness of the Karman over the Aeron because I feel like I just have infinitely more freedom inside of this chair. On the back of the headrest is going to be a like button. You should definitely click that and get subscribed. I'm really close to 100,000 subs, and I would really, really appreciate your support. Casters and legs. The legs on the Steelcase Karman are made out of metal, but they're rounded, which makes it a really poor choice for people who like to raise their feet up onto the legs because it'll slip and slide off of them really easily. The casters also roll really nicely on carpet. Features and adjustments under the chair. When it comes to features under the chair, it's really simple. You get a single stalk, and on it you get a tab that controls your height, and then you get this knob here, which controls both your tilt limiter as well as your tilt tension. Before I describe how that works, I first want to describe that the Steelcase Karman uses what they call a weight-activated recline. What that means is that this chair is able to kind of sense how much pressure you're putting on the backrest, how you're sitting inside of the chair, and it's able to kind of hold you in that position. So it kind of feels like you're floating inside of the chair. And again, it's, I think, their attempt to try to simplify the overly complex office chair that has like 30 different adjustments. And so now I'll kind of go into what this knob does. So at the very top setting here, it's going to go ahead and lock the backrest in an upright position. And that's pretty much that. When you go ahead and click it once, it's able to bring you back a little bit, but it'll kind of lock you right here. So you can tilt back just a little bit more, but then it'll lock you in this position. And then the third level is going to allow you to lean fully back, but it's going to have more tension in that weight-activated recline. So this is where you really start to see that weight-activated recline shine here, where depending on how much pressure you put on the chair is going to give you tension back and kind of hold you exactly in that position. Then when you turn the knob one last time, again, you're able to go to the maximum recline, but there is very little resistance here. So this thing will allow you to just fully go back into the maximum tilt position. I do wish that Steelcase would allow us to go further back in the Steelcase Karman High Back because it's a high back, right? This is a missed opportunity in my humble opinion. I feel like this chair should be able to go further back because you get head support all the way down. So it sucks that you're barely able to recline inside of this chair. Like with many other high-end American chairs, you're not able to lock this chair in a tilted position. The seat. The seat on the Karman High Back is exactly the same as the regular Karman. It's got a flat design. This mesh feels really soft. It almost feels like fabric here. And when you sit on it, because of its flat design, you're actually able to single leg tuck on a mesh chair. This is almost impossible on any mesh chair because the edges on most mesh chairs kind of roll up. Now this one does roll up a little bit. The edge is a little bit stiff, So even though you can sit like this and it's more comfortable than other mesh chairs, it still can dig in a little bit, so definitely not recommended you sit all day like this in this chair. When it comes to the mesh experience in the Karman, I do think the Herman Miller Aeron's mesh does feel a little bit nicer, but the Karman isn't bad either. And when it comes to the Herman Miller Aeron, it does feel a little bit softer, and also it doesn't need any additional kind of support to get you there. On the Steelcase Karman, however, they do add a cushion padding underneath the seat, which I think offers that extra cushioning and softness that's required, and without it, maybe it doesn't feel as good. I'm not really sure. I will say that when I scooch all the way back inside of the Karman, the cushioning, I don't know, it just sits and digs into my sit bones a little bit weird. I did have to play around with it a little bit, and I found that if I just scooch up just a tiny bit, those cushions land in a lot more pleasant places on my butt and feel significantly better. So if you're someone who's sitting on the Karman, you don't really love it at first, try just moving around a little bit inside the chair until you find that perfect spot. You cannot adjust the seat pan on the Steelcase Karman High Back. And I think this is a really weird decision on Steelcase's part because the back is a high back. It should be a great option for my tall freak of nature friends out there. But the fact that you can't adjust the seat pan out means that it sits pretty short. I'm 5'6", and look how much room I have inside of this chair. So if you're super tall, 6'2", 6'3" or something, then this seat is not gonna offer you that much leg support. The armrests. When it comes to the armrests, again, the quality isn't as nice as the Herman Miller Aeron, but they're still pretty good armrests. In terms of adjustments, it's able to go up and down, it's able to go forward and back, it's able to come in and out, and then it can swivel in any direction that you want. However, when it comes to the swivel left and right, this thing does move really, really easily. So it's really easy to kind of knock out of position. When it comes to the arm pad itself, I think it's got a decent amount of give. It feels pretty rubbery here. It's not the softest arm pad in the world, but it's also not the stiffest that I've seen on a high-end chair. The backrest. Again, the backrest on the Steelcase Karman High Back is incredibly flexible. It is the most flexible backrest I've tested on any chair, and it's even more flexible than the regular back Karman. It's so good, in fact, it's so lightweight that it just feels like it's part of you. You don't even notice that it's there, and when it moves, you're not limited in your movement. It's nuts. It's pretty ridiculous how well this thing moves. And all of us here, when we sat on this, we all appreciated the fact that it gives you support all the way up the back with the high back, especially my taller friend who's 6'1". The backrest shape is designed so that you can really open up that chest, open up inside of that chair without your triceps banging into the sides. The lumbar support. The lumbar support on the Steelcase Karman is not luxurious by any means. It pales in comparison compared to the Posture Fit SL on the highest tier Herman Miller Aerons, but it is effective. I mean, it's just a bar that literally slides up and down, and then you can remove it by unclipping it like this on both sides. But it does offer that additional lower back kind of oomph that you need to be able to sit properly when inside of your chair. The headrest. The headrest on the Karman is just absolutely useless. I mean, this thing can slide up and down, but it is way too flat. And it's literally just a piece of fabric here. I tried it in every position and it offers absolutely nothing. So when I go ahead and sit up in the chair, this thing doesn't even touch your head unless you like double chin yourself like this. And then when you're tilted back, it's not even thick enough to provide any kind of support in the neck or even on your head. It's just absolutely pointless. I really hope that Steelcase would allow us to detach this thing and add a little thicker, a little fatter, a little softer cushion here so that we could actually get some head and neck support in this chair. The warranty. Steelcase offers some of the best warranty and return policies in the business. I believe it's free returns, and then you also get a 12-year warranty on the entire chair, at least here in the US. If you're overseas, I think like in the EU, I believe they've lowered that number down to 5 years on the entire chair. Height and weight recommendations. Steelcase doesn't specify the height recommendations for this chair. My personal recommendation when it comes to height is that I believe this thing can be good for people as low as like 5'2" if you really wanted. I'm 5'6" and I get plenty of space for my feet to hit the ground. The chair does go really, really low. And then it can also go up to the highest and tallest of folks because of the tall back. Just keep in mind that if you're someone who really needs leg support in your chair, this seat depth just isn't gonna cut it. So that is the one limitation. When it comes to weight limit, Steelcase does say that this chair is limited to a maximum of 350 pounds. And I'm inclined to believe them here. I believe the mesh is a high quality mesh. It's got that fabric underneath to help with the additional support. And with the really strong warranty, I'm like, hey, go for it. If you're 350 pounds, sit the heck out of this thing. Despite the terrible headrest on the Karman High Back, this is my favorite mesh chair, and I would recommend it over the regular Karman as well, just because of how naturally it feels to sit and flex inside of this chair. Again, links to everything will be in the description below, as well as in the YouTube shop. Please use them when you're doing your shopping. It really helps this channel a lot. Until next time, stay honest.